antitrust policy. So everyone need to follow that code of conduct and privacy policy. So in Hyperledger Climate Action SIG, actually, we started this SIG to find out, or maybe come community together to build the Hyperledger fabric, or Hyperledger basically the solutions, or what community doing in the space. So in even we have 3 different working groups. One is carbon accounting working group, where a couple of members and community working on building the carbon accounting platform, which is even deployed in production in live. Like sidechain, Robin is earlier, I was a part of the earlier part of this Hyperledger Labs. And then we also have the one standard working group. So here the domain expertise or technology expert are defining some kind of standards. What could be the right way of measuring the carbon footprint and then tokenizing it. And third, we have one research working group, where what is the different new initiative and talking about like COP26 or Scope 3 emissions, and all about happening in the sustainability in the blockchain space. So these 3 we actually do. And if you go to the carbon accounting working group, you will find many different projects inside it, like supply chain traceability and the carbon accounting in the renewable energy space, and there's a separate DAO is created there. So multiple things there. Is a production ready code. Anybody can use it and build around it. So and currently, actually, this quarter actually Hyperledger runs some kind of theme, and this quarter's theme is a Hyperledger climate. So if anyone doing something on building on a Hyperledger or any kind of blockchain and using, especially for the climate space, they can submit their use case studies or whatever they are doing, and tag the Hyperledger climate as a hashtag. So we will get to know what you are building on a climate tech using blockchain or using Hyperledger. So continuing this session, actually today we invited Prabhir, and Prabhir is the co-founder of Trust01. Trust01 is one of the track and trace platform based on Hyperledger or other public blockchain framework, and they do the end-to-end traceability of the different product. And in the particular segment, they also climate, agriculture, and food supply chain, plastic credit, they all have done. So, and Prabhir is the founder of this company, and he is a decade of experience working with different innovative people and platforms. He's an investment banker earlier, a startup coach, mentor, and strategic partner. He has a sector experience in the social, agri-tech, tech, healthcare, and transaction structuring. And he's passed out his graduation from Rourkela, and he's one of the IIM Ahmedabad alumnus. So Trust01 recently launched some kind of ESG reporting and automation tool put in by Trust01. So he's going to talk about like how he's using blockchain and decentralization for democratization and the decarbonization of the using blockchain. So over to you, Prabhir.
Thank you. Thank you, Navid. Thank you, Kamlesh. Can you enable my screen share?
Yeah, you need to reshare.
Yeah. Thank you. I got it. So, thank you, Kamlesh, for that introduction, and thank you for this evening session. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. And let me start with just giving a brief introduction of what Trust01 does. Trust01, we started in the year 2020, and we started, yes, as Kamlesh mentioned, we started as a blockchain traceability, focusing on more and more use cases on food and seed and agriculture. Yes, climate initiative was just we took it around 1.5 years, 2 years before, near about. And we saw there is a lot of opportunity out there. Particularly, this is my favorite topic, what we call as a climate. What we don't see, climate is not that what you see from your window and see that, okay, this temperature is good, cloudy or windy. Climate is something different, and climate, we know what are the consequences of climate change we are focusing. So the topic what we choose is that yes, global need the decarbonization and how we can do the decarbonization and how we can create a bigger awareness, creating democratizing the total carbon space and or the climate space, and using a technology such as a beautiful technology which is available to us as a decentralized technology. See, the democratization, we believe the democratization is the process to achieve the goal of net zero. Democratization, I mean to say, everybody should be aware of what is going on and how they can be a part of this low carbon economy. And the thing is that unless until there is a bigger awareness is getting created, there is nothing is going to change on the climate parallels out here. So that is the focus of the topic today, and I'm not going to talk much on the aspect of core technology, but again, I'll talk on what is that essential, why this is required to get into the democratization, and why, and the available technology, what is available to us right now as a DLT technology or Web3, how we can do that. And what is that platform as a Web2 and Web3 innovations are creating to secure the transparent market, carbon credit, and so that we can achieve into the bigger goal. So let's gear up, and please feel free to start the free to ask me the questions at any point of time. So we are going to connect the dot between the climate change and sustainable supply chain and the ESG. ESG stands for environment, social governance, and how the connections are evolving. We are going to discuss on that. So today, in fact, on the Economic Times in India, we just found out an interesting news article saying that Odisha government to build the country's first resettlement colony for the people affecting climate change. Is it that the whole world can make some sort of a resettlement colony for the humankind? It's not possible, right? We have seen in December 2022, we have seen the rare hailstorm in Kuwait. People enjoy that, okay? But again, California storm leaves around 1,000 people without power. We have seen that in January 7, 2023, this year. So it's that not that climate change is a distant threat, it's happening now. And unless until we gear up from now, it's very difficult to the future is going to be very difficult for us to survive. The whole world is striving for to reduce the temperature or to get into the control, but it's getting out of proportion. Now, the thing is that, yes, what we can do as a business owner, can we do something to create that sort of a bigger awareness out here? Can we do something on the business front to make a business sense on the climate action? Yes, take certain climate action and create that business sense. What does that mean? Whether the prevailing business, we can do something. Yes, if you are getting aligned with the climate, it is going to save us the cost. Implementing energy efficient or utilizing renewable energy, we can reduce the cost and help us the business to grow money and improve our bottom line. It will help us to manage the risk. It will help us to mitigate the potential risks such as the supply chain disruption, regulatory penalties, and the damage to the infrastructure. Yes, if you are taking certain climate action, we have got certain potential to get into the bigger opportunity. Now, this is the brand reputation. Right now, you can see that every nook and corner, every business, they're rushing towards the sustainability. That's creating a bigger brand awareness. Of course, sustainability comes at some sort of a greenwashing, but again, technology, we have got that sort of a technology to get rid of those kind of element right now. So brand reputation is going to the bigger driver for the drive towards the climate action, and it is going to demonstrate the commitment towards the sustainability and increasing your brand value. Then third thing is that access to capital. Access to capital is becoming crucial, and you'll find more and more sustainability or the action towards climate action towards sustainability is going to drive your capital, and then the access to capital is going to get easier. Just to give you a simple example, recently SEBI, Indian Security Exchange Board of India, has come up that okay, the mutual fund investment should be 65% of the mutual fund investment should be the ESG compliant organization. So what does that mean? That means the government is pushing you to drive your ESG disclosure or your environment, social governance, or your commitment towards climate, how good you are. The moment you define your ESG disclosure, obviously you are going to get rated, and that is going to drive your investment in your organization. You are going to be stand out in form of innovation and the competitiveness. Innovation and competitiveness, because that is going to give you a competitive edge beyond other competitor, and increasing your environmental friendly and access market. Obviously, the last thing is that your regulatory compliance. More and more, the regulatory is getting stringent, and the governments are getting stringent to comply towards the environment more and more. That's how the things are going to achieve towards taking you towards the business use case of why should you act on climate change. Now, simple ways talking about that, addressing the climate change and impacting business, triple bottom line that yes, you are working towards planet, towards people, and towards the prosperity. That's how the things are going to be get aligned. It's that you can make profit, you can make prosperity, provided you connect with the people, you work for the planet, and that's how the things are going to get aligned. Now, new age business is what is they are looking for. New age business is looking towards the inclusiveness. It is looking towards your holistic innovations or the holistic sustainability. It is attracting towards your more of your triple bottom line, so to say. Then the second thing is that what new age business is looking towards the collaborative partnership. Collaborative partnership, talking about with your government and NGOs and the stakeholder and the business leverage collective expertise to resource, develop innovative climate solution, and create the shared value across the sector and the communities. Third thing is that it's going to, the new age business is working towards the employees empowerment. Employees empowerment means, again, participating towards their sustainability initiative, participating towards their sustainability environment friendly responsibilities. That's how the employee responsibility is going to come. Responsible supply chains are the critical aspect of the climate action initiative. In fact, if you look at the total carbon footprint of the whole world and you categorize into scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3, scope 3 comes under supply chains, and that is 92% of the total carbon footprint is getting created from this supply chain. Recently, the CDP report talks about that 90% of the 11.4x of the scope 1 and scope 2, which is getting ignored, or the supply chain carbon footprints are getting ignored. That is going to create a bigger aspect of supply chain. Also, the sustainability of the supply chain. What is the source? When you talk about your upstream supply chain or a downstream supply chain, what is the source? How is the supply chain? How is the sourcing of the material is happening? Is it avoiding any kind of a child labor? It is avoiding any kind of a deforestation. So these are the things which are going to drive your new age business. And third, last but not the least, is the impact investing. Impact investing, focusing your creating a positive environmental aspect. One side, your investment is going to drive, once you are concerned about talk about your environmental aspect, the social outcomes. Yes, that is going to the newest business is looking after that. Unless until you focus on this 5-factor, the newest business is not going to. So gone are those days when we don't care about the pollution. We create a steel factory without ignoring that how much pollution is going to create. We establish power plant with a coal-based power plant, and we just forget about or ignore about how much pollution is going to create. Now, the newest business is going to create, or the newest business are going to be created with these 4 and 5 inclusive things. That is how the things are going to do. And then the climate success is going to unleash the power of innovation. See, the climate success, unless until there is an element of innovation, talk about the technological advancement, talk about any kind of a resource efficiency. Yeah, let me tell you, there's a recently McKinsey study find that around 80% of the global innovative global companies whose success are defined in certain terms are the innovative. The success are defined through their innovation. Success are defined through the new alteration or the new thinking. It's just gone are those days when you don't keep on innovating. In fact, talk about our startups also. Unless until we get into that sort of a innovative thought process, or pivoting into a newer product or the services, it's very difficult to survive. So the power of innovation is going to define your success or the climate success. And talking about the sustainable infrastructure, technological advancement, or your sustainable infrastructure, or creating a beautiful circular economy where innovation in the product design, materials, and the waste management can support a shift towards the circular economy. That means whatever you produce, whatever you do, but again, you are impacting the least to the environment, or you are circulating the whole discharge, either human discharge or either industrial discharge, you are circulating. The climate smart agriculture is the 5th aspect, which is going to create the bigger impact out here. So, and the last thing is that about the education and awareness and the policy and financing, which are going to define your power of innovation. But again, when you talk about all these things, the other aspect is that data, what we ignore. Data is critical to climate change. So when you come to the data, we need to understand what is that the baseline assessment and what is the differential we are creating. That's why we keep on talking of that. Yes, Earth has got certain capacity to absorb some amount of carbon dioxide, not everything. So we try to control this temperature beyond 1.5 degree by 2030 or 2050. We set various targets. It is so the targets are set because we know that unless until we set those targets, the excesses of carbon dioxide is going to create a bigger impact, where it is going to increase the same Earth temperature. Again, it's becoming the total climatic balance is going to get distorted. So baseline assessment is important because accurate and comprehensive data is essential to establish a baseline understanding. Okay, this is that baseline, what we can operate upon. Just to give you a certain fact and figure, India produces 17% of the greenhouse gases from the paddy field, just because of excessive use of water and excessive use of fertilizer. Is there a way to reverse that, or is there a way to reduce that? Yes, we have to understand, okay, on baseline, okay, if you are producing around 5 tons of carbon dioxide under a differential or the improved method, whether you are reducing to 2 or 3. So the differential of 2 metric ton of carbon dioxide emission per acre of or per hectare of paddy field is going to create a bigger impact in a longer run. So talking about the next aspect is that apart from baseline, what is that monitoring and progress? What is that we are creating? Are we creating a bigger infrastructure to absorb the carbon dioxide? Like, are you creating on the urban scenario? Are you creating certain jungles, or same way the infrastructure will grow, but again, jungle is also going to grow? Are we creating certain new as jungle as a Miyawaki forest kind of a scenario? Are we creating certain climate modeling? Because climate modeling is required just to not only to make the crucial for defining crucial for development, but again refine climate model also to predict the future climatic scenario and inform about the climate related decision making. Now, fourth aspect is that vulnerability of assessment. Data on the climate impact, say rise in the sea level, and the change in the weather pattern can help the finding out what is that vulnerability impact to the community on the coastal. Then the fifth aspect is that climate adaptation. Yes, by collating, analyzing the climate change, the decision making can be implementing and implement appropriate adaptation strategy. The last thing is that about the emission reduction strategy. What are that emission reduction strategy you are taking? So the importance of data can be defined through various parameters, and creating that. The last thing is that about the creating the public awareness and the engagement model. So data is critical. So, but again, we know that what we can't measure, you can't manage. So the measurement is a bigger aspect. Measurement, reporting, and the final aspect is the verification is the crucial aspect for any kind of a climate change initiative. What we do, what innovation is doing digitizing those MRV. What we started digitizing those measurement, reporting, verification methodologies, which are defined by UN bodies, and we got to creating bigger transparency on the enhanced transparency on the whole ecosystem. That's how we started real-time monitoring on the climate. So as a startup, think it of where we are starting. We just know that there is certain baseline. We know that the importance of data. Is there any kind of a model available for measurement of this all this data? Yes, there is certain methodology available. We adopted global methodology or the CDM, Clean Development Mechanism methodology, UN appointed methodology, or the VERA or the gold standard, all those climate guardians methodology, and we digitize that. That's where the things are starting from, very basic. Then the moment you get into the real-time monitoring, then you can find the stakeholder accountability. Who are the actors and the exactly on the whole process? Who are creating at what level? So talk about the simple manufacturing process. There is certain upstream, there is certain downstream, there is on the scope 1 and scope 2 is happening on the manufacturing level. Whether those things we can measure, define, and create those different. Yes, that's how the data becomes a worthy for the collaboration. And okay, you create those kind of bridge to bridge between the different parties to create those trust and collaboration, and you get into the next level. So these data sets are going to give you the decision making, what to do, what not to do, how to create the values for those who are working on climate or the carbon dioxide sequestration or reducing those things, and how to measure those things who are creating those kind of carbon footprints. So that's how the things got into play. Then when you have got this availability of blockchain or digital DLT technology, decentralized technology, you have got everything to connect the things. So that's how the technology has become the centerpiece of democratization and decarbonization. The technology is decentralized technology. So the future is not that what is we are looking for 5 years to come. Future is now to define those kind of a critical connectivity and defining those accessibility, defining those decentralized energy system. So just to give us something about that, what is decentralized energy system? It's a kind of a creating your microgrids that distribute the renewable energy generation to a local community. Now, local community can manage their energy need, promote the energy democracy, and also reduce the dependency on the reliance of centralized fossil fuel. See, this kind of microgrid concept is not new. Already, we in India we have started in remote corners of some of the places where the renewable energy are getting charged. We have got a rooftop mechanism where we connect to the grid with a debit and credit with a kind of a when there is a surplus of energy, you can set it up. When you have got a less energy, then you can buy it. So those kind of a mechanism is already available. But again, the decentralized technology is going to make it pretty simple, defining what is the transparency on the complete ecosystem. Then the information, clean transportation. This is that adoption of the electrical energy, electrical vehicles, public transit systems, and the sustainable transport technologies that help to reduce the carbon emission. And we have seen the changes for last 2 to 3 years in a drastic change in this aspect. The information sharing is that, which is the information sharing is crucial, because who is creating the values out here, whether as the community, they are creating a bigger value, they should be getting rewarded. Whether the farmers are creating a bigger value by adopting better methodology or the technology of cultivation, these things are going to be shared in a seamless manner when you got a digital platform, communication technology, and the sharing models are available. Now, innovative business models are going to define the complete ecosystem in a better way. So technology is the centerpiece for any kind of a democratization or the and decarbonization. Now, what are the framework? Generally, it's kind of why the framework is required. That's pretty crucial, because it gives you a resilience and the reliability how the things are going to operate. It gives you a kind of a local empowerment. Our DMRV technology is helping more than 50,000, and we are targeting right now, maybe in next 2 to 3 years, we will have more than 10 million farmers getting empowered, and those who are working towards climate change and helping reduce those element of carbon dioxide emission from the periphery. It is also going to give you the efficiency and innovation. So the framework is kind of a pretty important when you define the complete climate ecosystem. So sustainable, now it's the time to unleash the sustainability, unleashing the carbon footprint at Web3 and the ESG in climate action. So here I just want to talk about the couple of initiative, what is and how the things are going to align. The urgent action, the carbon footprint measurement and ESG reporting and the supply chain traceability is required. It's not that, because the moment you measure how much is that, as I said, the moment you measure, that will define your how you are going to manage. So the measurement is quite crucial, and the effective measurement is in fact very much required for any kind of a climate action. So that's how the ESG reporting tool, transparency, the ESG reporting tool, and supply chain traceability is becoming more important. Web3 and the blockchain technology also enable how secure. In fact, Trust01, we use Web3 technology, and we use various protocols to complete track and trace the environmental and social matrices. Then smart contracts can verify and enforce those kind of a social conditions, so that you operate on a boundary and certain standards. Then you have got an upstream and downstream measurement. Also define your how much is your contribution towards the climate, and what is that carbon footprint you are creating on the whole ecosystem. Collaboration partnership should be there to drive the innovation, and connecting the sustainability effort to the fostering to cooperation and addressing the challenges to the create more sustainable global economy is pretty essential. So in this process, what we have created a beautiful model on measuring that how much carbon footprint you are creating, and that's based on the blockchain. And this has taken us around 1.5 years to develop, and the product is ready to be adopted globally. And that's how we talk about when you reimagine sustainability, you reimagine certain measurement or the reporting tools. So we have come up with your first reporting tool, a footprint. I'll just pause for a 1.5 minutes video out here, then we'll continue. It's one of those we know to eat. That's one of the fastest growing economies. Well, I think that's where its industrial capabilities. It also has a responsibility to offset the emissions. This is where ESG comes into play. ESG in India is relevant than ever before. The top 1,000 listed companies can disclose their ESG performance, along with the proposal and mandate supply chain ESG. But it isn't about just their role towards the environment, but it also the social that addresses issues like gender inclusion, economic opportunities, and data. Then there is others, which focuses on appropriate policy making with respect to stakeholders. Owner convention still creates the authenticity and transparency of data. Immutable truths. Which footprint product? India's first and only blockchain-enabled ESG reporting tool by Trust for One. This automated live dashboard will help companies track, monitor, analyze, verify, and report their corporate footprint easily and visually. Being powered by blockchain ensures the data is secure, transparent, credible, and immutable. Take action now. Adopt footprint product. Keep a greener footprint beyond. So, in fact, the design element of footprint is based on certain framework like GRI, global framework. I would say GRI 2021, SASB, TCFD, and recently we have started the BRSR, which is the India framework for business responsibility and sustainability reporting. And all this is the first product which is getting into the complete end-to-end blockchain and enable data traceability verification. It also is a kind of API-driven ERP integrated. It is also suitable to integrate with your, provide you a kind of a live dashboard solution, and also it will integrate with your IoT devices and other sensors if it is required. So that's how our journey is, how the Web3 journey to our sustainable ecosystem. We use technology to integrate, connect the dots, and integrate the centerpiece and create a bigger system. So this is all about how we do the things and what are the things we have able to do. So specifically right now we are focused into 3 things: sustainable supply chain, traceability, then DMRV solution, and the ESG as a product, as a SaaS product, what we have enrolled, and everything is enabled through a blockchain traceability. Any questions? I'm open to.
Yeah, so thank you, Prabhir. Any question from anyone? I think you're open to ask any questions. You can maybe ask in the chat box.
Hello, this is Nikhil here. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure. My question is that what would actually drive this? So is this a bottom-up approach that we are looking at, or is this more on a regulation front that has to come in to be able to expedite this whole process?
Nikhil, to answer your question, a couple of the things are going to drive this. When it comes to a reputation matters, things are going to change. Right now, I can tell you a couple of the things right now, what you are experiencing. Industry as such, apparel industry, if I talk about the other textile industry, they don't require to disclose as for the norm in India, but all of the apparel brands are moving towards, because the brand reputation matters and they want to show that they are doing the right thing for the climate change and they are a mm, sustainable company. Second aspect is that yes, the brand and the values are going to drive. Second aspect is that regulation is going to drive for sure. But again, if it is a regulation driven, it is may not drive towards a kind of a company. It may drive towards what they call it as a kind of a more of a uh, green washing kind of a thing. See, the thing is that just to give you an example, if I am compelled to buy and offset my carbon footprint of, let's say, 100,000 carbon footprint, then I have an option to go and buy London Climate Exchange $2 carbon credit and offset it. But again, when it becomes a kind of a reputation, then I need to see that what is the quality of those carbon credit. Is that creating a bigger opportunity? Is that creating a bigger impact on the social impact? Is that creating a real climate actions that happen? Obviously, then you have to pay a value for that. So that's how the things are going to driven by. First is that yes, your branding and reputation. Second thing is that by the compliances. Third thing is that yes, everybody is driving towards climate. Then let why we should be left alone. We should also drive. So that's how the things are going to be.
Thank you. I just have a follow-up, if I may, unless somebody has a question.
Please.
So the follow-up is that since this is more of a branding issue, branding seems to be one of the key things here. What is also happening is that this is more or less decentralized innovation, which is happening everybody's trying to solve the problem in their own way without kind of having standards. So now, how do we compare these apples and oranges? Would there have to be some kind of international standards defined along which we will be working, or is it going to be like happening in pockets, and every pocket is kind of going to have a different color?
No, what I have seen for last couple of for last 1 to 2 years, people are getting into, see, there are a certain set of standard and the methodology or process by way how you say that climate action, you are doing a proper sequestration or avoidance of carbon dioxide or any kind of a greenhouse gases. So these are the process and methodology which are defined by Clean Development Method, CDM, or by world bodies like UN, FCC. And these are again further refined and created different kind of methods by organization like Vera, Gold Standard. These are the so-called climate guardians. But having said that, right now, some people are also coming up their own standard and creating a bigger outlook, okay, towards working towards net zero, creating a water standard, creating a soil standard. These are things are going to get evolved. But again, when we talk of that, there are some set rules or the methodology. Let's follow on that. Then you get into, if there is something is not there, say there is no defined methodology for the construction industry, for the infrastructure industry to achieve their carbon footprint or to calculate their carbon footprint. Obviously, the new standards are, there is a scope for people to come and define those new standards. That is there. But again, there should not be too much of anomalies out there, getting into creating a new things which may or may not appeal or may not get into some sort of a, you can say the perfect methodology or some sort of a conclusive result towards climate change. I think that could be a bit of a concern. But again, right now, of course, when you talk about that global climate scenario, we have got a lot of methodologies which should be adopted. But having said that, some of the things which are not there, people should get involved and create those kind of values out there, because climate is ultimately, it's a global problem. It's not that but again, having said it's a global problem, individually, unless until we are responsible and we are aware of what we are doing, things are not going to change.
Thank you.
I think Gayatri has some question.
Hello, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, sir. So I just had a quick question. So I'm not a climate activist, but I have been on the lower end of the rung. I've been practicing farming, and I'm a technology enthusiast for the last 10 years, maybe. So seeing it from this perspective, my question to you is, do you see these kind of solutions, like Nikhil sir said, do you see these kind of solutions, each of us coming up with our own solution? I'm just looking at it from our perspective, I as a practicing farmer. So do the solutions as well as the scale, I'm just wondering with the scale, can this help, these kind of solutions help us scale for the farmers who are practicing on the ground level? That is my first question. And second question is, do you see the solutions going from top to bottom, or do I, as a person who's a farming enthusiast who wants to work with the farmers here on the ground, have to wait for a regulatory body to actually come across and settle until the dust settles? Do we guys have to wait around to have solutions on our hand to actually implement it on the floor? These are the
Well, you raised a very valid question. Now, when it comes to a climate action, what you define as a climate action, or what you define you're reducing the carbon footprint, it's done by a nature. Okay, you can't put a machine which will absorb the carbon dioxide from atmosphere, and you say that, oh, this much is the carbon created. No, that's not possible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you talk of certain process and methodology, there has to be certain scientific validation to that, right?
Exactly.
As an individual, a small organization, it's very difficult. I'll just tell you a simple example. Let's say you are creating a urban forestry kind of a scenario, right? Now, you know that how much plant you have put out there. What is the plant diameter? Now, after 5 years, what will happen? They will start sequestering some sort of a carbon dioxide. Now, how to measure that? There's a scientific method. You find out what is the plant diameter. You find out what is the mass. You find out what is the specific gravity, a specific density of that plant. Then you do some sort of a mathematical formulation to arrive at how much is the carbon sequestration could have been done. Okay, then we scientifically measure that. But again, somebody has to define the standards. As a layman, we can't do that, right? As a layman. So what has happened? Yes, I'm not saying 100% has done. At least 10 to 20% of the climate action which has been recorded has got certain process and methodology. You start from there. When you talk about the methane reduction in paddy field, and methane is a greenhouse gas and that is eligible for some sort of a carbon credit, there is certain scientific methodology to get there. Now science says that, but again, there is certain practice you have to do. So in a conventional way, if your paddy field is generating around 10 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare, and you have got certain process to measure it, and you do a differential method, you do a alternate wetting and drying where you reduce the water uses in that by 40 to 60%, then you have got certain approximation number to go there. Now, when you talk about all this process and methodology, there has to be a certain package of practice you have to adopt. Some auditors should be there, third-party auditors should be there to validate those things. Okay, some real field action has to happen. Now, this is not that I can do. Can I go and say that there is a field and I am helping to reduce the emission? Google requires the highest quantity of water. Can I measure something on my groundnut? No, it's not possible. It's a kind of, so when you talk about that, not that everything is possible for a climate action, not possible, but again, there are certain things which is something different. Let's say there is a we call it the mangroves, the coastal. Those are the blue carbon. They absorb 10 times more carbon dioxide than the rainforest. Yes, we have to protect that. We have to measure that. That creates a values. So there is a way. Now talk about that some simpler way. We have all these chicken litters that generates a lot of methane. Is there a way to capture that? Yes, there is a scientific way to capture that, measure that, and you burn that. So you are stopping that methane emission going to the atmosphere. That's the carbon credit. So there are certain process and methodology, but again, it should not be say that, okay, I define something, then let me go and get it. You could be
Got
right, but again, there should be some science behind that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I think no question.
Yeah, there is a question from Mark D. The problem is not that methodology, it's a disparity pricing between the voluntary and the regulatory carbon credit. Yes, that's true. Because voluntary carbon credits fetch the better price compared to the regulatory carbon credit, because regulatory you just do it just to comply your regulation, right? Voluntary, what you understand that okay, there is certain values are getting created and you should there is certain social impact is also associated, that should be priced higher. So
yeah, he also raised hand. He like want to talk.
yeah, Mark. Hi, Mark. Yeah, you can ask question.
Hi. So, yeah, this is to me the biggest problem in the market today, because what is more important, keeping a rainforest intact or a renewable waste to energy project in Europe, for example? What is the justification that that one is 100 euros and keeping the rainforest up is under $10? This to me makes no sense.
Yeah, that is true. Rainforest should get you $100. In fact, Kilma now is selling it for $100, right, Mark? So those Amazon rainforest, they are valuing, they are getting a better value. But again, see, the thing is that here the price difference or something is coming just because of there is a lack of trust factor. Now, that is the biggest challenge in this climate action. 2012, the market collapsed because of the trust factor. Now, the technology such as blockchain or the technology is going to give you that sort of a boost on your trust. Okay, this is that real thing is happening, and you should not carry it away. And the more than that, if you put into a tokenization aspect, obviously your property is a kind of a pretty unique on the carbon credit. There is hardly any mismatch on the number or the somebody is trying to counterfeit the thing. Coming to your question, larger question, whether the rainforest is important or the solar project is important, both are important important in their respect, because Europe can't pollute more, right? So you need that 100 megawatt solar project spreading over 500 hectares of land is important compared to from European perspective. But in Africa, if you have 500 hectares of rainforest, that is also important, and you have to maintain that because whole world needs that to absorb those carbon dioxide. So that's the my way. I hope I answered you something.
Yeah, I agree. They're both important. I just don't understand the price difference. This, to me, I don't understand.
Got you. But again, that's the because of the, see, I think this scenario is going to get changed when we talk about the climate value or the potential. Last year it was around $4 billion market opportunity. Going 2030, it is expected that it will reach into $50 billion opportunity, minimum more than 11 times. But again, when you talk about that $50 billion opportunity at a minimum, that is because the awareness is getting created in a bigger way. More and more companies are going to look for that offsetting their carbon emission or the footprint, carbon footprint. So that's how the things are going to get changed. Obviously, the resources are going to be more demand, and the carbon credits are going to be in a more demand. That's how the price is going to get stabilized. I think it is going to improve in next 2 to 3 years drastically.
So on that, I have just a question on that, and it's somewhat related to the system. So I look at carbon credits and offsets as a smoke screen that doesn't do any help to the environment. So if those are eliminated, how does that impact the finance of this? Because really a carbon credit or an offset is just give somebody with money the right to undo the good work you did. I plant a forest, I clean up the air. Bill Gates comes along and says, I like to fly around a private jet, I'm going to buy your offsets. Well, he just puts it all back in the air. There's some discussion about eliminating offsets and credits. What does that do to the financial model here if you get rid of credit sales?
So see, yeah, this is a good, analogy, Jay. Instead of getting into this kind of a financial model, rather it should be kind of a project based. Okay, are you creating a 500 hectares of green jungles, green forest, or are you creating some sort of a sustainable practice in a particular patch of, let's say, India, in a state? Can you incentivize a group of farmers to adopt better methodology for farming techniques, avoiding chemical fertilizer, avoiding a lot of water use? Yes, that should be a kind of a project-based funding. Then it will make a kind of a bigger impact. But again, when you understand this aspect of creating a bigger awareness, is there a scope for people like you and me to offset our carbon guilt? Is there any opportunity? Right now, that is nothing. But technology can help you. Technology can help you to buy that one carbon token or a half of that carbon token, so that when you buy with a $20, that part of the Malaysia farmer who is doing some sort of sustainability, he get benefited because the total value transformation, value transfer happens through your technology, through your blockchain technology, and you know that how the things are going to get created. Yes, see, till now, world has not seen the power of blockchain technologies. Small portion, I would say hardly 1%, 2% of the real use cases are getting built up. Future is there. There will be a mass adoption, and somehow blockchain with crypto get confused and things are not moving in a right direction. But the technology has got beautiful potential to connect the dots between climate action, those who are doing farmers, or the whole ecosystem, to align with the create the bigger value. That is going to happen in the near future.
So the framework that you had up before, did it show a way where somebody could just get direct payment from a non-government organization or a government to do good works? Was there a in your framework a way to get direct payments?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, yeah, our framework enables those kind of a payments mechanism. See, whatever we derive through our technology as a carbon credit, 1/3 of that goes to those who contributed for that. In this case, it's the farmer; they get benefited immediately.
Thanks.
Okay. So, any questions? Yeah, Kamlesh.
No, I think so. There is some question in the chat. Elizabeth.
Sorry.
I think there's a question in the chat. I think she shared some news.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So it's just, I would like to know more about those other carbon credit standards. If there's a list of, because I have my own carbon credit standard, I should put a link in the chat. And it's, if you have all individuals are responsible for their own carbon credit instead of corporations, then there is no scope 3, because those people who work on the chain, the supply chain, would account for their own carbon credits that they're responsible for because of their work, and the CEO would, her carbon credits. So there are, I'd like to know more about the other, do you have a list of the other carbon standards?
No, we right now are working with Vera and Gold Standard, and there is something in India is called Universal Carbon Registry (UCR). So we are working on this, and more of these Vera and Gold Standard are they follow the CDM and UNFCCC methodology and the standards. So yes, we are not getting into our own standard, and we don't have intent to get into that. What we are working on that, we believe that these people have spent their years together, decades together to define certain process and methodology. Let's take those process and methodology and digitize those and get the values out of that. The moment you digitize those, then you create the complete transparency and traceability. And obviously, you are put into the blockchain layer. It gives us the complete immutability of the whole data. So that's our belief, and that's how we work on certain standard. We don't get into our own standard. Yes, Vera and Gold Standard, what you're pursuing right now. If you got, I think I can get in touch with you on a kind of offline, and we can discuss more about your standard and your initiative on this.
Thank you. Somebody could put a link to in the chat to that standard
Sure.
that you did mention.
Sure. So on the message, I'm leaving my mail ID. So anybody who wants to me can just drop me a mail.
Yeah. So,
Kamlesh, can you? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I got it.
yeah, you can paste it. So yeah, thank you for joining. And I think if you are doing something in climate space and using blockchain, whether Hyperledger, Ethereum, or it could be any technology, you just can join the Hyperledger Climate SIG and share what you're building on it. So thank you. I think we can wrap up.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can stop the recording.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Can you just leave the chat open for a minute so we can get to the links?
Sure, I'll leave it open for one more minute.